You've heard it said, health is wealth, so enrich your life with the Healthy Home Hour, brought to you by the Healthy Home Market every Sunday, 9 to 10 a.m. Know what's new and classic for health and wellness. Meet the local and national experts. Live God's plan to thrive, not just survive. I'm your host, Holly Adams, and welcome to the Healthy Home Hour.
Morning, folks. Thanks for being here. This Healthy Home Hour brought to you by the Healthy Home Market with 3 stores, one in Plaza, Midwood, one in Davidson, and one in Matthews. And just into the Matthews store is a new take on a product, a resource, really, that you really need to survive. Today, we're talking about water. Living water that can detox your body and amp up the nutrients so you consume. You're doing a good job taking your vitamins, eating good food, trying to stay away from the bad stuff. This actually amps it up. So, you're ingesting vitamins and nutrients, and it's almost like you're ingesting double that. Or we're going to get into the details of it and just what it is that happens that's so incredible with Crystal Harmony water. It actually changes the water for the better somehow. It improves, conditions the water. And I mean, when you turn on the faucet, you're getting much more than just water. Because in Charlotte alone, there's 64 chemicals added to our water. And that water's not in the same condition that you find in nature, and your body knows the difference. So joining us with a solution is Walt Justice of Crystal Harmony to share what's happening in our water world and what Crystal Harmony does, taking the blessing of water to a whole new level. And I want to remind you, before we bring in Walt, to tell you that there's lots happening at the Community Wellness Center, and check out the new patio at the Plaza Midwood store at 1330 Central Avenue. For details and discounts and a look at the events and lectures, you can check out the calendar at healthyhomemkt.com. That's healthyhomemkt.com for your health and wellness needs. So talking about water on the Water Planet this morning with Walt Justice of Crystal Harmony. Thanks for being here, Walt.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. This is such a cool subject, and it almost feels like like a great sci-fi movie or something. I don't know, Well, we're going to find out just what you mean by Crystal Harmony water doing all the things that it does.
Sure.
On the show here, we talk a lot about clean food and the best supplements, and water is at least as important. And Charlotteans, in the last year or so, we've had kind of a big scare. We now know that there's been coal ash deposits in unlined pits around Mountain Island Lake, which is our reservoir. There's a lot of mercury that goes on with coal ash. Yep. Is it possible that Crystal Harmony water could remove these contaminants?
Well, it's in the processing that we go through, we absolutely guarantee that all that's removed. Because of the way we process the water, and it doesn't matter where the source of water comes from. It can be a municipality source, a lake, stream, even pond water. We will run it through our purification system, which is a series of 3 filters, 2 of them being carbon, one of them charcoal carbon, one of them other block, and then the third one being the shells from coconut that have been charcoalized, and then you filter through those 3. That removes about 99% of the contaminants. And then we take one step further and we distill the water 600 times per gallon. It's a cycle that we put it through, and it's in the cycling. The water goes through that distillation process 600 times to create the Crystal Harmony that we have.
That is kind of staggering to think about. 600 times. Mm-hmm. Describe that a little bit. Tell us about that process.
Sure.
And where does that come from? And this has got to be new technology, or?
Well, actually, the technology is not that new. The technology's been around since about 1975, 1980, so approximately 40 years. This has been something that's available, not very common, because of its because it does take a great deal to get the process done. And a lot of different companies that are not in this realm want to have this be a popular kind of way of treating the water and having people get better, let's put it that way, by using this. But basically, typical distillation is you boil your water, and then from the steam, you capture the steam, and it reverts back into the water, and now it has everything taken out of it, and then you collect that after it's been, it spins through that distillation process, and it's one time. So you have a change in the water molecule. It goes from about 104 degrees, which is the bond angle of the water for regular tap type water, to 101. So it actually closes down that bond angle. And that's why it's not as refreshing when you drink your distilled waters. You drink it and you feel like, well, I need to drink more because it really hasn't satisfied the thirst. So that is one of the side effects of that distillation process. Because of the type of distiller that we use, the distillation takes place outside of the main reservoir. And that, because the water is being pulled and pushed back in and out of that distillation chamber and not just part of the unit, it has to then also by pressure, force the steam out into the cooling chamber. So with that forcing of that out, the pressure builds up. It forces the steam out, but it then also forces the water out. So then the water is then pulled back in again. So there's a constant movement of water back and forth, and that constant movement of water, because it's almost like when you vortex water, you can break it up, and it makes it a little bit more being able to assimilate in your body better. This does the same kind of thing with this constant undulation of water. So that changes it, but because we capture it and redistill it and redistill it and redistill it, it completely changes the molecular structure. That we actually now do not, what we sell in our bottles is no longer H2O, it's HO2. We have double the oxygen based on the one hydrogen. So because of that, that's why it can get into the different cells and do what it does in combination with the acids, which are mainly hydrogen linked.
That's so interesting. So you're talking about this bond angle, that there's some kind of angle that allows for bonding in the body. So I'm imagining bonding to pull out toxins and put in nutrients right into the cells, but it's changed it somehow to facilitate.
Whenever you have a change in the bond angle, it either makes it more difficult for the water to get into the cells. That's why at 101 degrees, as opposed to 104, those 3 degrees, doesn't seem like much, but it is more difficult for that water to get into the cells, and that's why you have to drink more of the distilled water typically to get refreshed and that sort of thing. If you do the bond angle on our water is 114, there's only one state of water that has a higher bond angle, and that's steam. Steam is 120 degrees. So ours at 114 can now move in and out of the cell much more easily because it has that wider bond angle. It also is able to carry more nutrients in and out of the cell, because in that bond angle is where your nutrients are, and those things that need to be carried in and out of cells, nutrients and also the waste product that's found in those. And that's very critical to be able to get the fluid in and out of the cell efficiently so that it can do the proper job inside the body.
So you're saying you're taking it up to 114 to create this process, but it's not 114 in the bottle. It then goes back down to room temp or chilled or whatever.
No, it's 114 in the bottle. It stays at that until it's used.
So at that bond angle,
yes.
That's not the temperature.
Not the temperature.
Okay.
It's the bond angle.
Okay.
And the bond angle is what, when you also mix this with other fluids, such as your other waters, your coffees, teas, juices, all those type of things. It will also affect the bond angle of those that are in there. And because it has extra oxygen, it will bond with the hydrogen that's in there to create more water.
You know, you told me before we got on here today, as we were coming into the studio, you said that some people even put it in their vodka or in their martinis.
That's correct.
Does it actually make people, maybe they'd get more of a buzz on more quickly?
That's one thing that it does do. Because it allows and it carries those things in and out of the cells more quickly. Yes, it will. The other thing, and we don't advocate this, that anyone that imbibes too much the next day when they have their hangover, if they use get a quart container of just regular water, add about an ounce of Crystal Harmony to that water, it can take the hangover away in approximately half an hour to 45 minutes, because it's flushing out the acids and the alcohol from the brain.
Interesting. I mean, it just really shows. I mean, that's why I wanted to ask you about this idea of having a drink with it, because it really does show that it's moving it faster than you think, and it's harder to feel it if you're just putting it in your juice. So that's why I ask.
It depends on how acidic the juice is. If you've ever had the Dr. Bragg's
sure, the apple
cider vinegar.
Yeah, I love it.
It'll close one eye on you, because it's it really has quite a bite to it. But if you take and put just a dropper full into a 2-ounce glass, just one dropper full, it combines with the acids in there and helps to neutralize the acids, and it's much more pleasant to drink.
Very interesting. I am so glad you're here. This is like a revolutionary product, really. It sounds like it's just in a class by itself. So stay with us, folks. We're here with Walt Justice of Crystal Harmony Water here on Streets 103.3, and we'll be right back to talk about how you can hydrate your body while you detox.
It's Saturday. You got up and ran a mile, then you worked in the garden, put in 3 beds of tomatoes and peppers. Tonight you'll be dancing. Tomorrow, maybe tennis. You feel great. No sign of pain. How did you do it? You took Curamin, the all-natural pain reliever. You found Curamin at your local health food store. Curamin's ingredients are safe and effective, so you can take it without worrying about unhealthy side effects. And Curamin by Terry Naturally is guaranteed to relieve your pain or your money back. You had pain? You took Curamin, and your pain's gone. Now you garden, play sports, and enjoy life pain-free. Would you like your days to be pain-free? Just ask for the Terry Naturally brand Curamin at your favorite health food store. Curamin. Curamin does not interfere with stomach, liver, or kidney function. It's intended for the relief of occasional muscle pain due to exercise or overuse. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and Curamin is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Every day can be a pain-free day. Look for Curamin at your health food store. Stop pain now with Curamin.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't, because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Hey, welcome back. Glad you're here. I'm Holly Adams. We're here with Walt Justice from Crystal Harmony Water, talking about this amazing product that really is a cut above standard distilled water, and certainly better than the water you get out of your tap. And you were saying before the break, it actually takes contaminants out, and you described the process a little bit, and that there's actually an extra oxygen molecule, so you're oxygenating your body.
Yes.
And you mentioned that the acids, that you actually become less acidic. Is there some kind of an alkaline factor here?
Well, it's not alkaline water in the truest sense that most people use alkaline water. The things with, and again, we're not trying to put any other source of waters down or negate them at all, because they all have a purpose and they all have a place. But with this, when you are using alkaline water, you have an acidic problem in the body, and you're trying to counterbalance it. That's why you use the alkaline waters, is to try to counterbalance the acids. And if you have this pushing at 10, this pushing at 10, now you get 0, and that's where that's where people feel right. So you're constantly in some kind of a back and forth pushing match if you don't do something about the acid. Because of the way this operates, there are many things in our body that are acidic that shouldn't be acidic where they are. Your organs need to be acidic because it has to process things. But you do not want to have acidic environment in your joints, in your muscles, those places outside of that. You don't want that. And because this is very, very discomforting, and it's not good long term. So what this does is it combines with the acids, neutralizes the acids, and helps flush them out. So if a person's in an active flare-up of gout, let's just use that as an example.
Okay.
Gout is I had it for years, and since I started taking the water, in 5 years I have not had it.
Wow.
And it was to the point that I couldn't put on a pair of socks. It was that inflamed. But because of the combining with the acids, it flushes out that. And when it flushes it out, now it drops or reduces the amount of acid that's in the body. So we have a choice. We can sit there and try to match acid to base and acid to base and try to create a homeostasis position that way. Or we can reduce the amount of acid. And by reducing the amount of acid, now we automatically come into a homeostasis position with the body. So it's more of a natural alkalining as opposed to a forced alkalining.
So that's so interesting. It's you're really trying to. We're always in a state of flux, in a state of a balancing act in our bodies.
Right.
It must give the body some sense of rest to have this water to take out the acids and find homeostasis.
It does, and we have a number of people here in Charlotte. One of them being Takata Murphy. Give a little shout out to her and her
Takata, yes,
and her track
the runner
groups. Yeah, she's been using our water for a little while here, and she's noticed that she doesn't have the lactic acid buildup in her muscles, so that she can work a little bit harder, work a little bit longer, and recovery time is less. So whenever you can get your body into that homeostasis is balance, and the balance gives your body relief. So that's the key to good health, is not trying to overwork the body as too acid or too alkaline, but to leave it in that balanced position.
It sounds like regular tap water has almost become a health hazard.
Yes, it has.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing people talk about a lot now, and there are studies that shows it's true, that there's actually medications in our water. And it's a little uncomfortable to think about, we're drinking our neighbor's heart attack medication or heart meds or antidepressants or birth control pills.
Yes.
Can the process that you're doing with Crystal Harmony, can it remove meds too?
Well, with the process that we put it through in the distillation, all that is totally removed. There's absolutely nothing to that. So, but when you do add this to, if you like, I drink almost exclusively tap water from our local municipality in Port Orange, Florida, and as you pointed out, one of the major medications that are found there are Tylenol.
Oh,
that's
wow.
one of the major ones that are left behind because it's a filtration process.
Tough on your liver.
And that's what That's what the big problem is.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the oxygen activity in this water, when you add it to your bottled waters or your alkaline waters or your tap water, it doesn't really matter. It will go in and combine and will neutralize those things that would normally cause you a problem. And it will also, if you have it in your body already, it will help you flush it out. Because of this, we really concentrate on the lymphatic system. Most times when you're being treated for things, it is, your circulatory system or your, nervous system, all those kind of things. But very, very seldom do you hear anybody say, we really need to treat that lymphatic system.
True.
And if you understand the lymphatic system, it's the garbage disposal of the body, where all the things that shouldn't be in your body are now transported and gotten into the lymphatic system, and then that has to be flushed out. So this is a great lymphatic flush, and it gets rid of all those toxins. And to the point that things that have been stored for years are flushed out. And my prime example of that is my wife. In 2000, she had a series of radiation therapies done to destroy a tumor in her ear because it was inoperable in the position it was in. And she had vertigo attacks because of the position and everything and the pressure and et cetera. So at one point she was having a vertigo attack while she was teaching class, and she called me up and said, well, what do? I said, well, drink the water that you have, because she was kind of a skeptic at the time. So when she drank the water, she sat down. 15 minutes later, the effects of the vertigo had left. But she later on that evening, when she got home, she said, there's something wrong with the water because it tastes like metal. And we tried, and there was no detection of metal when I tasted it, or even when their neighbor tasted it. And so I contacted the distiller manufacturer and asked them what was going on. And before I get the full question out, the fellow said to me, when did she have radiation or chemotherapy? Now, the problem was, when she drank the water, it was 2010.
Oh, my.
She had the therapy in 2000. For 10 years, the effect of that was carried around in the fat tissue of her body. And it wasn't until this water started to actively remove it did she get rid of that. It took about 6 days, and the taste of that was gone and has never returned again. And we've had the same results with chlorine, iodine, pesticides, herbicides. When people have breathed them in or have been working with them, or it got absorbed through their skin, when they started to use it, they tasted it.
So it just got it moving to get back out in the bloodstream, in the body, and they were aware of it.
Flushing out the lymphatic
Right.
system, absolutely.
That's amazing. That's very promising for it to have happened so many years later, and it's still doing the right thing with Crystal Harmony. I'm glad you're here, Walt. We're going to take just another short break. Stay with us, folks, on Streets 1033.
It's Saturday. You got up and ran a mile, then you worked in the garden, put in 3 beds of tomatoes and peppers. Tonight you'll be dancing. Tomorrow, maybe tennis. You feel great. No sign of pain. How did you do it? You took Curamin, the all-natural pain reliever. You found Curamin at your local health food store. Curamin's ingredients are safe and effective, so you can take it without worrying about unhealthy side effects. And Curamin by Terry Naturally is guaranteed to relieve your pain or your money back. You had pain, you took Curamin, and your pain's gone. Now you garden, play sports, and enjoy life pain-free. Would you like your days to be pain-free? Just ask for the Terry Naturally brand Curamin at your favorite health food store. Curamin. Curamin does not interfere with stomach, liver, or kidney function. It's intended for the relief of occasional muscle pain due to exercise or overuse. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and Curamin is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Every day can be a pain-free day. Look for Curamin at your health food store. Stop pain now with Curamin.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour, sponsored by Your Healthy Home Market. 3 stores, 2 in Charlotte, 1 up in Davidson. And at our Matthews store, we have this incredible new product called Crystal Harmony Water. And we're here with Walt Justice today, talking about the ins and outs, the details, and the back and forth, 600 back and forths with Crystal Harmony. So it's interesting because healthcare practitioners have been talking forever about drinking distilled water and adding some minerals. And then, of course, now there's alkaline water that people talk about and are excited about. And a lot of folks drink alkaline water every week with great result. Mm-hmm. And it makes me think of that doctor, that PhD from Japan, that Dr. Masaru Emoto's work. It came out in the late 90s. Mm-hmm. He changed people's concepts of water. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about the work and how you think it applies, because you're cleaning this water. It sounds like you're reconditioning it.
Well, we are reconditioning it. In some places, depending on who you talk to, they consider it restructured water. There are several different places that use the water, and they have different names for it. There is a doctor in Tampa, Florida, who uses the water and gives it to his patients, and that his term for it is open water because of the opening of the bond angle. There's another place that uses it in a different way that they call it Oregon water. There's there's crystal water. There's all kinds of different names for it, but the basic idea is that we restructure that water molecule so that it has more oxygen, and with that more oxygen, and that's what your body needs. And when we talk about the other waters, that's why we named it Harmony, so that you could add it to, and it works in conjunction with these other things. We're not trying to put these other people out of business. That's not our goal. Our goal is to take whatever you're doing and make it better. And we're taking this water, and if you're drinking mineral water, then add this to the mineral water, and it will just cause your body to absorb the minerals better and more completely. You'll have more. You'll get an increase in the amount of absorption from that, and that's true for whether you're using the shakes, the protein shakes, the energy drinks, and all those kinds of things. If you add this to it, it'll just increase it. Even coffee. Driving up here from just outside of Daytona yesterday, left at 2:00 in the afternoon, and I got a cup of coffee and added some of the Crystal Harmony to it, and it helped keep me awake. It helped me keep me, but I didn't get that jittery high from the caffeine. It just allows you to absorb it. Now, as far as the minerals are concerned, there are absolutely no minerals in this water, as it is in any distilled water. There are no minerals in it. But to be honest with everyone, to get to the point where it starts to leach the minerals from your body, you have to drink an excessive amount of distilled water. And most people don't get near that. And most of your minerals come from what you eat anyhow. So, but if you're a person that wants to have that additional mineral content, absolutely drink the mineral water and add this to it, and your body will love you for it.
So with the bond angle, you describe the process a little bit. You have this Crystal Harmony water in bottles. You're adding it to things, so it's changing the structure. How does it do that?
Right. Well, it's kind of an interesting thing because it bonds. When you have that thing open that wide, it starts to contact with other things and bond with it. For example, when you have your tap water like I have at home, I have a gallon jug that sits on my counter, and what I do is I fill that up almost full, and then all I do is add 1 ounce of the Crystal Harmony to it. It's 1 ounce to a gallon. Now, if you've got some issues like with the gout or something like that, what we recommend is you take 1 ounce straight first thing in the morning before you start anything. That'll go in and start to activate all your organs. That'll start to give you a shot of oxygen, help wake you up a little bit,
Nice.
and get things moving. Then you mix 1 ounce to a half gallon, and you drink that throughout the day. 1 ounce to a half gallon. You drink that over about the next 8 hours or so. And then, before dinner time, you take another 1 ounce. And what that'll do is it'll start to mildly detox your body. And in the process of that detox, it'll start really doing a nice cleansing job of the lymphatic system. Then after about 10 days of that, then you go back to 1 ounce to a gallon. And that's kind of like a maintenance everyday dose. And with a 32-ounce bottle, that'll treat 32 gallons. Well, that's a gallon of water a day.
Which is tough to get to. I mean, I know that's the goal for everybody,
Right.
and we're trying to do that, but it's not easy to drink a gallon of water a day.
Right.
Which begs the question, I wanted to ask you too about when do you drink it? I mean, because a lot of people say, okay, don't drink with a meal, or wait 2 hours afterwards. And how does that work with Crystal Harmony?
Well, with Crystal Harmony, it's like any other, because you're mixing with other waters, you're just not drinking it straight, except unless you're actively trying to improve a condition that you're dealing with. If you take the 1 ounce, you want to take the 1 ounce in the morning about 10 minutes or so before you start do anything else, before you eat your breakfast or whatever. That goes in, starts, like I said, activating everything, gives you a little shot of oxygen, and helps to perk you up. And you can do that throughout the day. We have a number of people, they carry our dropper bottle, and if they start to feel a little drowsy, they'll take the dropper bottle and they'll just squeeze 2 or 3 dropperfuls into their mouth, and it helps to revitalize them a little bit for the rest of, for another couple of hours. So, you have, because of that oxygen, that will kind of help stimulate you. And that's one of the reasons why we say don't drink it straight after dinner time. Because if you do drink it, it will keep you up at night. And that, and then people tend to get, some of their responses when they are kept up half the night when they call, they're not real happy.
They're a little cranky, yeah.
So we do try to recommend you do that. But it's always good to drink a cup of water, a glass of water, somewhere between 8 and 12 ounces, half an hour before your meal, because that starts to activate the acids and stuff in your stomach to receive the meal. And people tend to try to drink too much during the meal, and what that does is it dilutes the acid that should be digesting your food,
Right.
and then that causes other problems. And one of those problems is what they call acid reflux, is because now what you've done is you've thrown off that proper rotation of acids to deal with the meal, and then now the meal's gone, and now your body's had to kind of kick higher to get that acid in there to take care of that stuff, and now the food's gone, but the acid's still there. So what we do have is we have some people that will take, if they've kind of gotten out of the proper protocol of things, they'll take a little maybe like a half shot, a half ounce or something like that, and they'll drink that to help take care of the acid reflux, because like I said, it combines with acid and helps to neutralize it.
So have you heard about folks, have there been testimonials that maybe they've given up the various, I'm not going to name any names, but the purple pill and all this, there's
yes,
so
ma'am.
much of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
We've had quite a few of that. We had one woman that is in the Daytona Beach area. She was on several medications, and they just could not ever get them corrected and balanced and everything else. And she started using the water, and within 3 days, she stopped using anything else, and that's all she's used for the last 2 years.
So I would imagine that you've heard, give us an idea about some of the testimonials. You mentioned that your gout is much improved over the course of 5 years. And, people are on, so many people are on medications like crazy,
mm-hmm.
and, psychopharms and medications for all kinds of things, insomnia, heart disease, diabetes.
Right.
Have you heard about people going off of or diminishing their intake?
We've had a lot of testimonies to that effect over the last 3 years, in particular, where we've had people with diabetes reduce the amount of medications that they're taking, blood pressure medication reduced or eliminated. We've had people with, of course, gout. Almost every case of gout. I can't think of anyone that has not been improved, as long as they take it on a regular basis. Their gout is virtually non-existent. I know it is for myself, but we've had people with fibromyalgia, arthritis, muscle cramps, because those are all acid-based problems. Edema, we've had that. One of the people from Healthy Home Market has an experience with her daughter and some skin conditions that were dramatically improved because of the use of the water, not only internally but topically. And that's another thing that makes this water completely different than any other water in the world. This can be used like hydrogen peroxide because the actual correct name for HO2 is peroxide of hydrogen and not hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. This is HO2. We only have one hydrogen, not two. So all the different things that you would use hydrogen peroxide for on the skin, for cuts, scrapes, ant bites, spider bites, bee stings, even sunburns, just burns themselves. I burned my index finger on a wire. I was soldering some wires together.
Oh,
so on a soldering gun, I burned my finger, and
Ouch.
I just put it in a little cup of water and left it sit there for about 15 minutes, and no welts, no anything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you use the concentrated
Yes.
Crystal Harmony? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So just right out of the bottle, not
Right.
diluted in
That's
regular
correct.
water.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting. It really is fascinating. But you're talking about, it's just water, but it's not exactly
It's
water
not just
anymore.
water.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
That's
it
right.
looks like water.
Yeah, well, it looks a little thicker when it moves. It has a different viscosity
Mm-hmm.
than regular water.
Is it, there's so many kinds of chronic conditions that we suffer with. Things, everything from osteoporosis to enlarged prostate to, and you're mentioning the skin issues, people.
Mm-hmm.
The woman whose daughter she works at the Healthy Home Market. Does it help with it sounds like it would literally, because you're talking water, which is the basis of the body. What is the body, 70% or so water?
Yeah, it's about 75% water. Your blood's in like 94% water. Your brain's like 85% water. Your bones are about 60% water. So, there's different varying amounts of, the water content in the different parts of your body. But you're primarily water. And if we can get the proper water in, a lot of these other problems will leave, because again, you're flushing out. And I did a little research not too long ago on the cells of the body, and your entire body, including the bones. About every 7 years, you're a completely different person, cellular wise, than what you were at that time. Now, of course, the skin cells, they're regenerated and replaced within weeks. Your blood cells, same thing, within days to weeks. But your bones, of course, much more slow process of regeneration and replacement.
Sure.
But in any case, you have to have a good source of water. And if you have a good source of water that will transport good nutrients, your body is designed to heal. And that's the one thing I try to get across to everyone. By drinking this water is not going to heal you. What it's going to do is help set up your body so it can heal itself, and the good Lord can do his job in healing you the rest of the way. But you have to be prepared for that. So you have to get the body cleansed. You have to get the body in the right position to receive what it's supposed to receive so that it can heal itself. And that's why you got to flush that lymphatic system out. You got to get the garbage out.
It's funny. It's almost like we really are healing machines.
Mm-hmm.
We that's the natural state, is to heal. And there's
Right.
all this other stuff and subterfuge in the way.
Right.
It's not really that complex, right?
Right. Well, one of my favorite, and I say it's favorite because it really changed the little boy's life and his mom's life, is a gal that I co-taught with at Campbell Middle School in Daytona Beach, Florida. And one day I was walking to class, and she was standing on the sidewalk in the morning crying. And I just said to her, "Dee Dee, what's the problem?" And she said, "My son has sickle cell anemia, and he's going to have to. It looks like he's going to have his third transfusion." I said, "Okay, don't quite understand the problem there." She goes, "You don't get an unlimited number of those, and he's only 6.
Oh,
He's already had 2." And she said, "I don't know how much more, how many more of these he's going to get." So I told her I had this, and I said, "I don't know if it'll work or not. I want to make a couple of phone calls, and I'll get back to you." So I made the phone calls, talked to a few people, came back to her and said, "Well, I didn't really get much satisfaction on the phone calls because I don't know exactly what's going to happen." I said, "But one thing we do know, if all of his cells were sickled, he wouldn't be alive today. So some of those cells have got to be still good red blood cells.
right.
This has got extra oxygen. Let's see if we just can't make those that are working a little more efficient and provide him with it, because it's anemia, and anemia always means a lack of oxygen in the body." So what I gave her the water, and I said, "Try it," and told her what to do with it. And the little guy was taking it in he loved his apple juice, and he loved his, so she turned out, we went about 3 weeks, and all the symptoms that he was having, that he was going to need another full transfusion, were gone.
That's incredible.
And within 3 months, he was going back to Orlando for his 1-year checkup at the sickle cell anemia clinic over there. And when she got there, she told him she was taking him off to penicillin therapy, which is a maintenance dose. And she said, that's just destroying his organs. And she said, "He hasn't been sick since he's been on this stuff. I'm taking him off." She took him off. He has not been back on it since. And that's 3 years ago.
Oh my goodness! So now he's 9.
He's 9 years old now,
and living a more normal life.
And he's on the Pop Warner football team. He's on the rec basketball league. He's doing everything that all the other kids are doing, and he's
beautiful.
He's just a normal little kid running around, but because of the water, he had the ability to get off of that stuff that was actually causing him more problems.
there's just so many, when you think of how foundational water is, as we've said, it's such a large percentage of our body tissues. It makes me think, what about kidney stones and gallstones? And there's so much now about metabolic syndrome, that the cells aren't really metabolizing properly and working properly, and people are really having a problem with it. It's become a new thing, a new diagnosis people are talking about. Might it have impact on all that too?
Well, there's no question, because again, your gallbladder and your kidneys are all part of the lymphatic system. When the water gets in there, it starts to flush out those toxins and flush out those things, and you have to basically, your kidney stones, gallstones are the same thing as your gout. It's uric acid,
right?
And the uric acid crystallizes, and when it crystallizes, that's what forms this so-called stone. So now you have uric acid crystallized, and then in the joints, it starts to get calcium build up around it, and that's what gives you those big knuckles and everything else for arthritis. So that's, they're all related. So when you start to use the water, and we have testimonies of people that were up for surgery for kidney stones and gallstones, where they started to use the water, and after 3 or 4 days, they dissolved the stone enough that it actually passed. They didn't have to go in for the surgical procedure.
Incredible.
So because the water gets in there and starts to attack that acid, it starts to dissolve those stones.
I wonder if there's sort of a detoxing effect. Do people ever have to slow down maybe a little bit? They get a little too excited and aggressive about it.
Yeah, that's one of the there's really only 2 side effects, and that's one we've already mentioned. You drink it too late at night, it'll keep you up, and that can be annoying. The other thing is, if you drink more than about 4 ounces of it straight, it will have a detoxing effect. Now, it's not like when you take some of the other things that will detox you, where you start to have stomach cramps and all that kind of stuff. It does not get to that, but it will cause you to run to the bathroom and spend a little time in there if you try to consume too much too fast. And that's why we always recommend no more over a 24-hour period than about 3 to 4 ounces mixed in, extended over a period of time, so that you don't overdo it. We've had people that sat down and drank nearly half a bottle and did not have much of an effect, because each person is different. But we always try to err on the side of safety and comfort, because we don't want to have that effect happen and people be caught unaware that by consuming too much of it, you can put yourself into a little bit of an uncomfortable or an embarrassing situation if you need to run to the bathroom.
So you would recommend starting it, say, on the weekend, or
well, I mean, as long as you're only doing, if you're doing just the 1 ounce to a gallon because you really aren't dealing with any issues, starting at any time is not a problem, because it's not much.
Right.
But if you're looking at an intensified situation and you stay with the 1 ounce first thing in the morning, 1 ounce to a half gallon, 1 ounce at night before dinner, again, you shouldn't have a problem. But if you feel more secure, do it on a Friday night or a Saturday, that type of thing, and see how your body reacts to it.
That's great. It's good to know how to do it, what the process is, and it doesn't sound like too many people would really have an issue with it.
No, we really we've again, each person detox a little differently. We have had people, they took a little too much, and they say, well, I got a headache, or I had a little bit of a ache in my joints. Just back it off. Just don't use as much, and that immediately changes that response. But we really have never had much of a problem with that.
Well, this is so interesting. Anytime you can detox and get your body to a place where it can do the work it needs to do to heal itself, That's the way to go. So
Right.
we're going to take just a little break. We'll be right back. Stay with us, folks. Keep it locked at Streets 103.3, Charlotte's new hip-hop station.
It's Saturday. You got up and ran a mile, then you worked in the garden. Put in 3 beds of tomatoes and peppers. Tonight you'll be dancing. Tomorrow, maybe tennis. You feel great. No sign of pain. How did you do it? You took Curamin, the all-natural pain reliever. You found Curamin at your local health food store. Curamin's ingredients are safe and effective, so you can take it without worrying about unhealthy side effects. And Curamin by Terry Naturally is guaranteed to relieve your pain or your money back. You had pain? You took Curamin, and your pain's gone. Now you garden, play sports, and enjoy life pain-free. Would you like your days to be pain-free? Just ask for the Terry Naturally brand Curamin at your favorite health food store. Curamin. Curamin does not interfere with stomach, liver, or kidney function. It's intended for the relief of occasional muscle pain due to exercise or overuse. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA, and Curamin is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Every day can be a pain-free day. Look for Curamin at your health food store. Stop pain now with Curamin.
Are you living your dream? Lots of us aren't, because we don't have a plan. All our dreams need the right plan. At the Charlotte Health Center, get a customized plan to lay down your pain and fatigue and get on your game. Feel the love and skill of Dr. Matt McAleese, chiropractor and founder of the Charlotte Health Center. Align your spine with Dr. Matt. He's got 5 essentials for a victorious life. Experience the energy, the clarity, and creativity of your body and brain when the power's on. The Charlotte Health Center is the largest private and pediatric chiropractic clinic in the QC. Dr. Matt has helped Olympians, celebrities, moms, and kids with exceptional care and concern. Call 704-780-0166. That's 704-780-0166 or charlottehealthcenter.com. Come on, live your dreams.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Welcome back. I'm Holly Adams. We're here with Walt Justice of Crystal Harmony Water. Lots of cool stuff about this water. My goodness, it almost feels like maybe this process is taking water back to what it might have been many, many years ago. I mean, before all the toxins came into the environment. And is it like that? Is this sort of like what water used to be 1,000 years ago?
Well, it's interesting to say that because we did have a fellow that looked at our water, and we didn't know who he was, and we found out later on his name was Dr. Ken West, and he was a lecturer and a scholar from Oxford, and had lectured and everything along the lines of human potentials and all that sort of thing, trained with Olympic athletes and all that. And he went to every healing well in the world and evaluated their water. And he asked me if we knew anything about Catoris, France. And I said, no, you know anything about Catoris. He said, well, what about Lourdes? I said, well, yeah, of course, we've heard of Lourdes. That's the healing well in France. And he said, well, there's actually a water that's a little purer than that, and that's in Catoris. And he said the well Catoris is one of the purest healing wells in the world. And he said, your water rivals that. And I said, well, okay, whatever that means. And then he went on to explain, and because of the structure of it and everything else, he could tell that just by examining it. And we have had people use different kind of divining things on the water to try to test it for its scalar energy and that sort of thing, and it ranks very, very high on those scalar rankings. Scalar
energy being the laser continuum of the fine or gross points of vibration,
right?
And the finer the vibration, the faster the vibration, the more healing the property this thing is,
right? And more assimilating to the body.
Before the break, we were talking about detoxing and et cetera, and how this, now we're talking about how fine this is and how it facilitates. You can just imagine what's happening. Is it, for folks listening, they're probably wondering, well, gee, I'm older, or I have kids, or can I give this to my grandmother? Can I give it to my sick mother? Can I give it to children? I mean, you mentioned the sickle cell anemia child.
It's perfectly safe. Again, you have to know the person you're working with. So if you're using it like on my mother who's 87, when we give it to her, we gave it to her in smaller amounts, but we spread it out over more time. So instead of giving her 1 ounce, we gave her 2 or 3 dropperfuls, and then another couple hours later we gave her another couple dropperfuls, and so we spread it out over a period of time so that the body would have a chance to assimilate it. Same thing with children and older adults, basically the same way. You don't want to give them a huge dose of this. Their bodies have to work at a slower rate with it, so you have to kind of back it down. So typically, like with a young boy with sickle cell, his mom just gives it to him, squirts it straight in his mouth. She doesn't even bother mixing it with any of his stuff anymore. But he has become so attuned to it. He feels something different happening with his body. He'll come to his mom and say, "Mom, I need the water. I need the water." And she gives him a couple of squirts, and then after that, 10 minutes later, okay, and then he's gone. So there's that's part of it. Just kind of knowing the situation that you're using it in really helps to define what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and to what intensity. But for anyone over the age of 12 to 70. The things that we normally lay out's pretty decent, unless a person's dealing with some real medical issues.
Well, and speaking of real medical issues, you talked about your wife and how it helped with the residual effects of having had cancer treatment. Are there any cancer centers, any folks that are looking at this for cancer help? Does it facilitate improvement and treatment?
There it has been used in like the Sloan Kettering Clinic on occasions. This is some time back. I don't know exactly when, but back in the 80s, early 90s, something like that, they were experimenting with it. Whether or not they're still using it, I don't know. I haven't gotten into the discussion with the manufacturer to that degree. But we do have a number of people that understand that the more oxygenated you are, the lower your acid, the lower the acid, the fewer cells of those times can grow, and that's true for all bacteria, all spores, all molds, all funguses. They all have to be in a acid-rich environment and an oxygen-depleted environment. And that's what allows them to grow, because they're anaerobic. So if we take and add extra oxygen, what we do is we don't kill the bacteria. We destroy the environment that the bacteria can live in. And thereby, that destroys the bacteria. So we don't look at it as, okay, it's like bug spray. We're going to spray that bug and kill it. We don't attack it that way. We attack the environment that it lives in and remove the source of its existence,
right.
And then it dies on its own accord. And that's one of the things that we found happening with the bacteria in the mouth of dogs. When the dogs were drinking the water, it was changing that acid environment in their mouth, and it was getting rid of their bad breath.
No more dog breath?
No more dog breath.
Although I do love puppy breath.
Yeah. Well, it'll get rid of that too.
Oh, okay.
but it will change that environment, so the bacteria that are causing that bad breath are gone. And that's what prompted us to come up with a mouthwash for people.
Yeah, tell us about the mouthwash you've got.
Yeah, well, the mouthwash only has 3 ingredients. And the active ingredient is the Crystal Harmony. And the other ingredient in there is clove or peppermint. We have 2 flavors. So we use the oil of essence of that. And I went to an old pharmacist when they used to crush things up and actually make the stuff and formulate and everything himself. And I asked him, I said, how do I keep oil suspended in water? And his first thing was, you have to put in alcohol. I said, well, we can't use alcohol because I want this to be able to be used by kids, and I don't want a kid getting sick from drinking this inadvertently. And I said I really would like to have it so that we can have people that are in the drug rehab and alcohol rehabs to be able to have a mouthwash that they can use, and they won't have the alcohol,
no relapse
them, sending them back into a relapse. So he said, well, you can use magnesium sulfate. I went, magnesium sulfate. He goes, Epsom salts.
Huh.
And he said, all you need is just a tiny, tiny bit of Epsom salts, but you make it into a paste, a dry paste. He said, that's the key. So I went and got some food-grade Epsom salts, mixed in some clove essence and peppermint essence in the other one, and made it into a dry paste. And we put it in there, and it is a tremendous mouthwash. And we have a doctor, a dentist in this area. I don't know who it is, but one of the reps, it was his dentist, saw what had happened with his the results on his gums and everything else. Said, whatever you're doing, I'll buy a case of that stuff. So we have a dentist here in town that is now using our Crystal Harmony Essential Breeze mouthwash for his patients.
And I see you've also got a Harmony probiotic,
right?
And there's all these products at our Galleria store over there on Sardis Boulevard, right behind the Walmart.
Right.
Not far, about 2 miles away from downtown Matthews. So I'm just so grateful that you're here today to tell us about this. This really feels like something new, like a breakthrough, and so foundational, so that you don't get all these side effects.
Yeah, and that's been our make it pure, make it right for the body, and the body will take care of itself. And we are very, 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 very stringent and particular on what we use and how we use it, and so that we don't put anything in it that would not absolutely be the best stuff for a person.
Yeah, it's like purer than pure.
Well, it's
incredible.
It's pretty pure.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Walt.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll do it again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So, folks, this is really a hopeful message from Walt Justice. It's Crystal Harmony Water. You can get it at the Healthy Home Market, right there at the Galleria store. Get the missing piece to the wellness routine. It really sounds like that's what we all need, is that foundational piece. And ramp up your nutrient absorption and get the acid out of your system. No more pain. So thanks for being here. I'm Holly Adams. And until next Sunday, when Rosalind Rogers of Life Flow joins us, I'll see you at the market in Plaza Midwood. So peace and health, y'all. This is Streets 103.3, your Charlotte's new hip-hop station.
Pay it forward and restore yourself by making the healthy choices for you and your family, and enjoy life with the Healthy Home Market. Feel the goodwill and own great health. Check it out at healthyhomemkt.com. That's healthyhomemkt.com for store locations, details, and discounts. Get the best of God's green blue earth at the Healthy Home Market.